Jamal Harris stepped into the luxury car dealership, expecting to quietly observe his new business. But before he could say a word, the manager sneered, crossed his arms, and ordered him to leave. "These cars aren't for people like you." The humiliation, the arrogance, it all boiled in Jamal's chest, but the manager had no idea who he had just kicked out or how badly he was about to regret it. But let's start from the beginning. The scorching sun hung over Houston, Texas, as Jamal Harris pulled into the parking lot of Oak Ridge Motors, a well-known luxury car dealership. The gleaming glass building reflected the golden rays, while the polished sports cars lined up out front sparkled like trophies. Jamal, a tall, well-built black man in his early 40s, stepped out of his brand-new Cadillac Escalade. He adjusted his tailored navy blue suit and straightened his gold cufflinks, his polished dress shoes clicking against the pavement. Today was supposed to be an exciting day. He had spent the past year finalizing the purchase of Oak Ridge Motors, a dealership that had been struggling under its previous owner. Jamal, a self-made millionaire, had built his wealth in real estate and investments, and now he was expanding into the luxury auto market. This was his first dealership, his biggest move yet. He ran a hand over his neatly trimmed beard, exhaling deeply. He was here unannounced, eager to see how the staff operated before his formal introduction next week. As he walked toward the entrance, he felt the subtle shift in atmosphere. The eyes, the stares. Employees inside the dealership glanced at him, some curious, others with clear disapproval. A few customers looked up but quickly turned away, uninterested. Jamal ignored it. He was used to it. But one man wasn't just staring. He was watching. Standing near the front desk, a middle-aged white man with slicked-back gray hair and a slightly bloated face narrowed his eyes. His crisp white shirt was stretched across his stomach, his red tie slightly loosened. A name tag read, G. Rogers, General Manager. Jamal had seen his file. Greg Rogers, a seasoned car salesman who had been with Oak Ridge Motors for nearly a decade. He was known for his aggressive tactics and high-pressure sales, but also for complaints, subtle racism, dismissing minority customers, pushing Black and Hispanic buyers toward lower-end models. Jamal walked through the glass doors, the cool blast of air conditioning hitting his face. He barely took 3 steps inside before Rogers was on him. "Can I help you?" Rogers asked, his voice tight, forced politeness barely masking his irritation. Jamal gave him a relaxed smile. "Just looking around." Rogers' eyes flicked up and down, judging. "I see." His lips curled slightly, almost amused. "Well, we don't do test drives for just anyone. These are high-end vehicles." Jamal's smile didn't waver. "Good to know." He moved past the man, heading toward a sleek black Mercedes AMG GT parked in the showroom. Rogers followed. "Listen, pal," he continued, voice lower. "We don't do window shopping here. These cars aren't for, well, let's just say we cater to a certain clientele." Jamal turned slowly. "A certain clientele?" he repeated, raising an eyebrow. "That's right," Rogers said, crossing his arms. "We like to keep our place looking professional. If you're looking for a Honda or something, I can point you in the right direction." Silence. The words hung in the air like a slap. Jamal could feel it. The disgust, the condescension, the absolute certainty that Rogers believed he didn't belong. A young salesman behind the desk nervously glanced between them, shifting uncomfortably. A few employees whispered, but no one stepped in. Jamal let out a low chuckle. "That's funny," he said, shaking his head. "I don't see what's funny about it," Rogers snapped. "I think you should leave." Jamal exhaled, rubbing his chin. He could end this right now. Drop the bomb. Tell this arrogant, racist bastard exactly who he was dealing with. But no, not yet. He had a better idea. Jamal turned on his heel and walked out. Rogers smirked in satisfaction, watching him leave. He had no idea he had just made the worst mistake of his career. The next morning, 8 o'clock a.m. sharp, Oak Ridge Motors was buzzing. The staff was gathered in the showroom, confused by an unexpected company-wide meeting. They whispered among themselves, wondering why the owners were suddenly involved. Rogers stood near the front, arms crossed, unimpressed. Then Jamal walked in. This time, there was no doubt that he belonged. He was flanked by 2 lawyers, dressed in an even sharper suit than the day before, his gold watch glinting under the showroom lights. Rogers' face drained of color. "What the hell is going on?" he muttered. The dealership's regional director, a balding man in his 60s, stepped forward. "Everyone, I'd like to formally introduce Mr. Jamal Harris. As of last week, he is the new owner of Oak Ridge Motors." A stunned silence fell over the room. Rogers's throat bobbed as he swallowed, sweat forming on his temple. What? Jamal stepped forward, grinning. "Didn't see that coming, did you?" Rogers knew. He knew before Jamal even opened his mouth that his career was over. Jamal turned to the staff. "Some of you already know me. For those who don't, I built my wealth investing in businesses just like this one. I believe in opportunity, in growth, in giving back to the community." He paused, letting his words sink in. "What I don't believe in is discrimination, or disrespect, or judging customers based on the color of their skin." Murmurs rippled through the room. Some employees nodded, others avoided eye contact. Jamal turned to Rogers, his expression cold now. "Which brings me to my first order of business." Rogers shifted uncomfortably. "Jamal, listen." "Mr. Harris," Jamal corrected. Rogers's jaw tightened. "Mr. Harris," he forced out. "I didn't know." "You didn't care," Jamal interrupted. "You assumed. You looked at me and saw a problem. You saw someone who didn't belong. Well, guess what?" He stepped closer, lowering his voice just enough. "I belong here more than you ever did." The tension was suffocating. Jamal turned to his lawyers. "Fire him! Immediately!" Gasps. Rogers froze, his entire body stiff. You can't do that," Jamal smirked. "I own this dealership. I can do whatever I want." Rogers sputtered, looking around for support. But no one moved. No one defended him. And as security escorted him out, he realized his entire career had just ended because he judged the wrong man. Jamal watched as the doors closed behind him, then turned back to his employees. "Now, let's get to work."